episode alone. I'm just going to stick with one thing, and that's just me ranking the 4 Walt Disney World theme parks, because I just was thinking about them earlier today, and I thought, why not? Let's give it a little ranking of what I think is the best. And to start with it, I'm just looking at specifically just the 4 main theme parks. I'm obviously not going to look at the 2 water parks, Blizzard Beach or Typhoon Lagoon. I'm not going to look at Disneyland or anything like that, specifically Walt Disney World and Orlando. And without further ado, let's get into that with number 5, or 4. Sorry, I can't do math either today. With number 4, I think would have to be Hollywood Studios. Even though Hollywood Studios has made a significant amount of updates over the years, obviously it started out as like a old Hollywood and movies like that kind of thing, and it still kind of has that if you walk down like their version of Main Street. When you walk it straight into the park, you still kind of get that feel of old movie Hollywood kind of thing. You still got the Chinese theater and everything. But outside of that, they've really dove into Star Wars Land and everything. So with that, that's really fun, really themed fantastically. My favorite ride in Tower of Terror is obviously in Hollywood Studios. But for me, the reason why I put it as my, and not saying any of these are bad parks, these are very nitpicky things for why they're where they are. But for me, like if you're planning out a day, I feel like some of the parks a lot of the things it'd take pretty much an entire day to do, or potentially 2 days depending on crowds and how your day is and everything. But for Hollywood Studios, I feel like you can kind of get through that relatively quickly. They don't have too many rides. Sorry. Because you always got Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. You got Tower of Terror, Rock and Roller Coaster, Rise of Resistance, and Millennium Falcon and Star Tours, and that's really it in terms of rides. And obviously you got Slinky Dog and some others too. But for the most part, you don't have that many attractions. They got a couple shows you can go see and everything. But I feel like the majority of your day, you can kind of maybe do a half day. Obviously, you can maybe do some of the day, and with Galaxy's Edge and everything, you can spend a good part of the day just there, taking in all the theming of you actually feeling like you're on a actual like Star Wars like planet you just landed on and stuff like that. But outside of that, you're pretty much spending your day, if you're not doing a Genie Plus or whatever it's called now, the new Fast Pass system that they got down there, you're pretty much just waiting in lines for the most part, and just walking around. Because even the last time I went down back in 2020, yeah, we went there a couple times, but it was really just to see Galaxy's Edge, just because it is such a great thing. But and when we went down there, we just saw that. We didn't really care for the other part. Yeah, we rode Tower of Terror a couple times, but that was really it. We didn't ride Rock and Roller Coaster. We really didn't spend any other time at any other side of the park, and that's where I think is why it's so low for me. It's because there's really only one section you focus on. The other part you don't really. You can, obviously, it's there, and obviously depending if you get there early enough, you can probably get away with doing those things before Galaxy's Edge or whatever. But that would be my number 4 for sure. But my number 3 now. I'd probably have to say. Again, these are all very nitpicky, but I think I'm probably going to say Epcot for my number 3. But for the similar kind of thing where, yeah, there's a good amount to do. You can always go around the world in the World Showcase, but in the park itself, there's still not. There's a good amount to do, but it's very limited of what you can do. So you could pretty much, if you wanted to plan a day, half your day at Hollywood Studios, the other half at Epcot, essentially. You can spend a whole day there, obviously. If you're there during any one of the festivals that they're running, you can do that, but obviously that's going to cost you a good amount. You do got a couple rides you can ride. Obviously, Living with the Lamb is one of my favorite rides. It may not be everyone's favorite ride. I just like the nuances of it, like the and everything. But in terms of everything else, and obviously you got the new Guardians ride opening up this summer, so you're going to have another reason to go to the park and everything. And as I've gotten older, my thinking on Epcot has significantly changed, because when I was a kid, whenever I would go there, my thought process would be, oh, let's go on Mission Space, let's go on Test Track, let's just do that, because those were always thrill, kind of fun rides that I always wanted to do if I was in Epcot, or when the Allen ride was there. We would just sit there for a while, just because it was a long ride or whatever, but with the pre-show, the ride, and everything, it was just a way to kind of get out of the heat whenever we went during the summertime. And obviously going to the land and all that. But as I've gotten older, and obviously you've been of age, I've been able to drink and everything, and can appreciate some of more of the cultural impact that they try to bring to the park. I kind of am interested in that part of it, and more interested in World Showcase now than it was when it was a kid. So that kind of thing, if when I go back again, because I think we're going back down in early December again. So to me, that's something that could be very fun, just drinking around the world with my family. That could be just a fun thing to do, or whatever. But yeah, that's probably going to be my number 3. Number 2 would be Animal Kingdom. Just from a thematic standpoint, obviously, it's, when you think Animal Kingdom, you may just think kind of almost like zoo-y kind of thing, or it's a bigger, better version of a zoo, which maybe some people's thinking of it. It has my probably second favorite ride in the whole park, the whole Disney World, of Everest. Dinosaurs Road is a good one. I've had, and that's another one. The park I like is because just some of the childhood memories and nostalgia purposes is the reason why I like that park so much. Because I have so many memories of the park in general, riding Dinosaur the many times, and the many times my little brother, or when we went with our neighbors, the pictures and everything that we'd always see, getting scared by the dinosaur right before it takes your picture, right before the ride ends. That was always a fun time, always fun there, and everything. But just just looking at it, walking around the park theme-wise, that's why I love Animal Kingdom so much. And yeah, maybe there's not too much to do, but compared to the other parks too, especially on a hot day, I feel like there's a lot more shade you can kind of hit in Animal Kingdom versus some of the other parks, which helps. And it's just us too, but for some reason, whenever we go to Animal Kingdom, it always rains for some reason. But not that it's a surprise, because it rains at like 3 o'clock every time in Florida. But it always seemed whenever we were like rain for like the whole day, or like half of the day, it was always when we were going to Animal Kingdom. It was just kind of our luck kind of thing. But either way, it was just kind of something that's been funny thing that we noticed. Yeah, that's probably my number 2. Obviously, they got great rides, good food. You can get Dole Whips there with some alcohol in it if you were into that. Which we are, you get a good dark rum or coconut rum, some rum in there, and that just amplifies the Dole Whip even more. They've got good food, good entertainment, good everything there in that park, and that's kind of why it would be my number 2. And it's still, there's not a lot of rides. Obviously, Pandora, that area is such an expansive, great world, and unfortunately, I haven't even ridden either of those rides yet. And the many times I've gone there, just because of long lines and just how the days were busy. But seeing like videos and everything, those rides just look awesome. And obviously you could see they took so much time into just developing everything there. Which then leaves to my number one, which is obviously Magic Kingdom. And obviously it's pretty much a replica of Magic Kingdom, pretty much, and Disneyland. It was pretty much the same thing. You got the same similar rides. You got the mountains, Space Mountain, Splash Mountain, Big Thunder Mountain. You've got Tomorrowland, the three different lands that you can go to. But again, the reason why I'd say this is my favorite park is specifically just because so much that of Animal Kingdom is just the memories, childhood memories, and everything. It just brings back so many memories whenever I walk down Main Street, whenever we go down Tomorrowland or anything like that. I always get taken back to when I was a kid and wanted to ride Buzz Lightyear. I wanted to beat my brothers or my sister, whoever I was sitting next to, and trying to get a better score than them. Or the many times, because we're weird, we go into the shops and try on the different hats and make like goofy faces and stuff like that. So there's just a lot of nostalgia things whenever I go down that park where I just kind of get a little bit more of fun memories and stuff like that. Besides, obviously, the great dark rides that they have there, Pirates of the Caribbean, Haunted Mansion, obviously the mountains, the three mountains that they got there as well. So many rides, and even like to me, Magic Kingdom, depending on what you do, could easily be a 2-day kind of thing. Because even when we went down back in 2020, it took us about 2 days to be able to do everything. Granted, the first day we got there was the day we went to Magic Kingdom, but even with that, we left pretty early in the morning, so it was still by like 10 o'clock we got there. So it's still most of the day to spend in the park. And even then, we weren't able to ride Haunted Mansion or Pirates of the Caribbean just because of lines and everything and other stuff we wanted to do. So then the day when we were leaving, the couple hours before then, we went back to the park just to do last minute things we weren't able to do the first time we went to Magic Kingdom, which was riding those two rides, doing a little more shopping, last minute shopping before we left, and all that, because that was just something fun that we wanted to try doing differently, because normally when we leave the parks or leave down there or leave any vacation, we want to just pack up and just kind of go. But that was the first time we really didn't leave until later in the day, which gave us the morning to really do the park, which was different, but it was fun. So yeah, those would probably be my top 4 picks. But to recap, I'd say 4 Hollywood Studios, 3 Epcot, 2 Animal Kingdom, and 1 being Magic Kingdom. But yeah, it's, again, a lot of those it's very nitpicky. I love bits and pieces of each of those parks. And the reason why, and those 2 are my top 2, are specifically because of nostalgia reasons.